Hello, so good afternoon or good morning, everybody. This is the rationalization of our quizzes that you have taken, by the way, last last 2 weeks. No, so let's start with lesson one: defining arts, assumptions, scope, and limitations. Module one, quiz number one. So here, true or false? Art can be confined to the four corners of the museum. So the answer here is ugly. So when you say ugly, it means false. So art cannot be confined in four corners because again art is everywhere. Next, as one expresses depression and frustration, then he or she becomes an effective poet. Is this poet rather is this true or false? Effective poet. That is true beauty. Next, it needs a lot of skills in order to gain mastery over a particular art form like that of a painting. Does it really need a lot of skills? Yes, true or false? It's not. Even if you are not an artist, no, if you don't have a skill, you can be you can still be an artist. Next, enrolling in a ballet school is needed for one to be a well versed dancer and performer. Is this true or false? Enrolling in a ballet school is needed for one to be a well versed. So training of skills na to. Yes, you will become a well versed dancer when you're exposed to a particular um, school or group that will really enhance your skills. Next, the buildings and their design resemble a good example of how art can be found anywhere. Is that true or false? Buildings and their design resemble a good example of how art can be found anywhere. That is no. Why? That is false. Why? The buildings and their design do not just only resemble a good example of how art can be found anywhere, because art that can be found anywhere is that we are transforming something into an artwork. We are transforming um, a particular, inappropriate or inaccurate things into something fascinating. So that's false. Buildings and their designs resemble, as a good example, when you hear when it becomes art as part of sculpture, that could also be part of architecture, and what else? Amenities. Okay, now let's move on to another question. The trees and the mountains serve as the art form of photographers to exhibit their artistic prowess. Trees and mountains, though. That is false. Why? When you hear the word artistic prowess, that actually means showing your capability. So trees and mountains are not capabilities of the photographers. They are the creations of God. But photographers can take pictures, but it does not mean to say that is their artistic prowess. Next, when one expresses his form of art, then that person can be deemed beautiful for all intents and purposes. True or false? This is true. Deemed beautiful for all intents and purposes. Next, what is serving as pleasing to the eyes becomes beautiful to the perception of everyone seeing or viewing it. What is serving as pleasing to the eyes thou becomes beautiful to the perception of everyone seeing it or viewing it. Is that true or false? That is true. So what is beautiful to you may not be beautiful to me, or what is beautiful to me may not be beautiful to you, or what is beautiful to you can also be beautiful to me. What is ugly for you could also be ugly for me. No? So next, the concept of beauty may be restricted to a particular tribe or community, as a particular artwork may only be fascinating to them. Na ba? Ingana, true or false? That is false. No? The concepts of beauty daw may be restricted to a particular tribe or community. So sa ila lugar na nga kuan nga beautiful para sa ila So dapat beautiful pud para sa tua kung sa ilang tribe. Oo. So it should be both. They go together. Next, plazas and other parks should have a statue and other cool sculptures so that it should be considered as artistic or endowed with aesthetic beauty. Mao ba? That is true. Okay? That is true. Beauty. Now, here, multiple choices. The general rule is that art is deliberative, well-constructed act. It is only through the subconscious when one takes and assumes art and produces these masterpieces. The word is masterpieces. The correct answer is art as creation. Next, as long as one struggles to survive, his means of living dictates him to show his emotions through varying forms of arts to extend and manifest himself better. This statement is best exemplified in which notion of art. His means of living daw dictates him to show his emotions. Emotions based tayo dito. That is art as perfect expression and communication. Next, Miss Universe 2018 Catriona Gray showed her inspired Filipino wardrobe in the pageant to promote the beauty of a real Filipina. Which notion of art best exemplifies the statement? So, showing or promoting the beauty of a real Filipina, art and beauty. Next, every December of the year, Giselle visits the Macahambus cave in Cagayan de Oro because this was the romantic place where his husband proposed to her. Which notion of art is best exemplified by Giselle's action? Correct. Art and nature. Next, evaluate this statement. People in India and Africa may find body piercing fascinating, yet this exhibition may be bizarre and unacceptable to some cultures. If beauty is culturally based, then which criterion would you use to assess beauty? So beauty is subjective. What is beautiful to you may not be beautiful to others. Next, scenario 1. Julie enrolled in a contemporary ballet class because she wanted to upgrade her knowledge and skills in classical ballet. As soon as class started, the instructor told them to mimic the movement of any object or daily instance that first comes into their mind. One student mimicked cycling, the other mimicked the pain of giving birth, while Julie mimicked the movement of water being poured from a water source. In general, which among the notions of art best depicts the instruction to mimic whatever object or daily situation that comes first into the student's mind? Perfect. Its art is everywhere. Next, same scenario. Which one student depicted the pain of birth giving? When one student depicted the pain of birth giving, which notion of art best describes her situation? Birth giving. Perfect. That is art and experience and communicate art as experience and communication. Next, okay, as part of this generation, evaluate the impact of the assumptions or notions of art. All right. So, the assumption or notion of the art technically serves as our basis in appreciating work works of art. Okay, that's the correct answer. No, evaluate the impact of the assumption. Okay, they are technically serve as our basis in appreciating works of arts. So I hope you're doing good with that. Now let us move on to Module 2, Exploring Arts and Culture. Alright, here, the correct answer is culture has structure. Why? Because our government, in the statement, our government requires everyone to wear face mask and face shield before going out from home in this time of pandemic COVID. This rule is manifested in the key concept on culture, that culture has structure. You have to wear face mask, you have to wear face shield before going out from your home because it's still pandemic time. So there is what we call structure being followed. Next, it is believed that culture may grow and evolve over time as society moves forward. So that concept belongs to culture is perfect, dynamic, because of the word evolving or changing. Now, moving on. Bemvem is a teacher in a hinterland. She used to teach the traditional way of teaching before including with other teachers. One time when she delivered a lesson, most of her students did not understand it because of lack of materials. When she introduced another topic, a descriptive essay, she substituted her way of teaching and learning to an authentic one for a good outcome. She didn't focus on what is in the book. Instead, she let them go outside to observe and to learn whatever they wanted to ensure effective learning. Now, the question is, which concept on culture is emphasized in the statement? May dalawang answers po dyan. It could be culture is dynamic or culture is learned. But if you are going to go back to the statement, hindi naman siya totally nag-change si teacher. Ang nangyari doon is, meron lang siyang kinuha na idea to fit in. So the correct answer is culture is dynamic. Culture is learned, meaning to say you try to you try to absorb what they have there, what their culture would be, but you are still practicing your own culture. But in this particular scenario kasi, what did teacher Bemvim did or do rather is that she changed. She substituted all her teaching ways. No, so that is culture is dynamic or changed. Now here, this pertains to one of the key concepts of culture, where culture is transferred from one generation to another. Transferring. So that is culture is transmitted. The term transferred means transmitted as well. Next one, Jezra is a good mentor when it comes to taking care of the chickens preparing for cockfighting, as this is one of his productive resources. Other cockfighters ask help from him because he knows exactly how to deal with this. He already has his achievements like winning and buying luxurious things because of this kind of business. He learns all of these from both father and grandfather, who are also good cockfighters. Jezra now wants his son Mark Joshua to follow in his footsteps because of the large income that he can get from this. Now the question here is, which concept of culture is best manifested here? Culture is transmitted. Okay, na transfer from the grandparents ni Jezra, transferred to Jezra, and then transmitted to the son of Jezra. No, Jezra. I'm so sorry, my voice is really pagaw-pagaw. Now, moving on. A 10-year-old Benji challenged his dad to play the Mobile Legend. His dad has a hard time understanding the game on how to play it. His dad finally gave up after because he did not have the chance to win, where there was help coming from his son. When he challenged him again, he refused and told that this is not the kind of game that they played before. They used to play physical activities under the sunlight, which concept of culture is exemplified in this context. Okay, culture is dynamic. Alright, so culture is dynamic. Now, let's move 14-year-old Ann Paul, born in Australia, migrate to the Philippines to be with his family and to pursue his studies as well. He was studying in a well known university in Cebu and sure that he could definitely learn the same as other born Filipinos, especially in Visayan language, because just to comply his requirements in this subject. He noticed that they use the same language. Which concept of culture is being manifested in the situation? Mm-mm. So they share both culture. Culture is shared. Next, Fritz Gerard is fond of Korean dramas. Little by little, he was attached to it. One time, he decided to change his lifestyles as the same as his favorite Korean celebrities, like how they dress, speak, and act. He made sure that she did all of these. Now, which concept of culture is best manifested in that situation? Of course, no. So Fritz Gerard was influenced by a Korean celebrity's way of living. No. Next, Lizelle Mansiglio is a Filipino who recently worked and lived in a foreign country. As she was introduced to her new home and neighborhood, she used to shake hands with other people as a sign of welcoming them. However, the people there kissed her on the cheeks, whether that neighborhood is a male or female. She felt awkward at first because of the gesture of kissing the cheek, but later on she noticed that kissing on the cheeks, regardless of the sex, is natural to them in welcoming new people. With this scenario, which key concept of culture is being portrayed? Portrayed. That is, culture is different. So different in culture. Next, during a lunch break, Jacob and his co-workers eat together in a certain cafeteria. Every time they will eat, his co-workers sometimes ridicule and make fun of him because of the way he eats. When he eats, he used to place his right foot on the chair he sits and he doesn't like to use fork and spoon. Instead, he uses chopsticks. He defended himself that he cannot savor or feel the food if he cannot eat that way. Which key concept of culture is best manifested by Jacob? Culture is a total pattern. Correct. Next, both the language used by Davao residents are the same as Cagayan de Oro residents. Words like rela, sikad, aparador, and so on mean the same thing to both. However, few words are mostly used by the Davao people, not commonly used by the people of CDO, or vice versa, such as kalintura and hilana, which means fever, and cambio and sukli means fair change. The majority of Davao people use the term kalintura and cambio, whereas the people in Cagayan de Oro prefer to use hilanat and sukli. Nevertheless, both cities use alternatively these words according to their preferences. Now the question here, which key concept of culture is best manifested in this situation? Culture is shared. Alright, culture is shared. Next. Okay, so though that ends our Art Up Module 2 quiz. Rationalization. Next one. Let's move on here. Okay, so we are now in Module 3, venturing into humanities. Alright, let's try to read and answer. Which approach in studying humanities is used when an art up professor, Angelica Yamot, assesses the painting of Gelmark Somagia through its elements, mediums, techniques, and color symbolisms utilized in the artwork? Again, It's more on the feature po of a particular artwork. So ano yun? Synchronic, diachronic, synchronous, or diachronous? Perfect. That is synchronic approach. Feature of a particular artwork, that is synchronic approach. Now, the approach used in analyzing the evolution of art forms over time and duration by evaluating how something changes and analyzes its effects to the variables is called blank, while the approach used in studying humanities that looks into art as it is and only analyzes its structures or features of the art is called blank. Okay, yung first is we are trying to analyze the evolution of art. Yung second is analyzing the structure or feature of art. Evolution, subjective, structure, objective. So saan dyan? Diachronic approach, synchronous approach, diachronic approach, synchronic approach, or synchronic approach, diachronous approach, or synchronous approach, diachronic approach. The correct answer is letter. Okay. Diachronic evolution of art forms, subjective diachronic approach, synchronic approach that is more on objective or sa feature or structure ang imo ang i-analyze. Next, which of the following question is not included in the vital questions addressed by studying humanities? It's letter D. How do human beings interpret the world apart from them? Why? Okay. It's not apart, but it is around them. So it's around them, not apart. Okay. Next. The following are concepts of humanities. Which one is not? Letter fosters political justice and equality. It's actually fosters social justice. Which one is not? It's not political but social justice. All right, next. The following are reasons why we study humanities except to develop an understanding of our future conditions as well. So, this is an example of a very good answer to a wrong question because our what we're looking for is the exact one. So it's letter D of our present condition. Okay, not our future condition but present condition as well. Okay, thank you. Next, which function of art is exemplified in this context? Lipstick is a really magical. It holds more than a waxy bit of color. It holds the promise of a brilliant smile, a brilliant day, both literally and figuratively. The correct answer, which function? The correct answer is personal function. Okay, personal function. If you answered utilitarian function, that could be considered as well. Okay, next one. Which classification? By the way, going back. Sir, bakit nagiging ano siya? Bakit nagiging personal siya? Why not utilitarian? Naging personal function siya because not all of the people are using lipsticks. Unless, if everybody uses it, that becomes utilitarian. Pero, if one person only use it or group of people lang, that could be for personal use. Okay. Utilitarian function is for everyone to use it. No, maka-benefit ang tanan. Okay. Next, which classification of value of arts refers to different creative talents, skills, or artworks converted into money or business? That is economic value. You convert your skills into money or business. Next, which term refers to the group or categorization of an artwork? Categorization po tayo. Its forms. Next, which function of art is best exemplified when Francis Dane and Josival Israel express their emotions through feelings, ideas, and experiences into artworks or into pieces of artworks? That is personal function kasi that's their emotions. No. Next, which function of art is best exemplified when Charlo, Alvin Jim, and Wendell design symbols, signs, and other creative artwork to be painted on the walls for mural painting project by DepEd Secretary Sara Duterte Caprio. DepEd, its educational function. Next, which social function of art is best exemplified when Carl Angelo and Harold express their disappointments through skit on how leaders unjustifiably distributed the relief goods during the enhanced community quarantine last August 2021. Disappointments through skit satire. That is satire. Next, how will an artwork be best interpreted to yield its meaning? It can be best interpreted okay, using objective and subjective perspective. No, both objective and subjective. Next, which social function of art is best exemplified when Junelle, Alea Trecia, and Justin Hill engage themselves in the preservation of the most renowned or famous tourist destinations in the country, the Boracay Beach in Aklan and the Tubataha Reef in Palawan. Perfect. That is cultural historical function. Next, which term refers to the essence, importance, or worth of an artwork? That is value. Perfect. Which function of art is best exemplified? Exemplified when Angel Rose and Angel May paint an artwork expressing their voice in terms of how the two opposing parties, the Dilawan leaders against the DDS leaders, perform their obligations, duties, and responsibilities as national officials in the Philippines during pandemic. So that is perfect. Uh, personal personal function. Okay, function of Angel Rose paint an artwork expressing their voice. Okay, expressing their voice. That's personal function. Next, which function which function of art is best exemplified when architect Justin Paul and architect Abigail construct plaza and amusement park for children and people to have some fun and recreational activities. Mhm. That is utilitarian function, which everyone is benefiting that particular artwork. Next, which classification of functions of art refers to work of art that perform its purpose? Its motivated function. Next one, a social function can be integrated into an artwork by okay by embodying a cultural symbol. Okay, by embodying a cultural symbol. Next, the synchronic approach in reading a literary text would infer into the blank. Synchronic tayo. Perfect. On the message of the author. Okay, message of the author. Like its particular uh, its particular lines, particular uh, features of a particular artwork. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Next, moving on, any work of art can be analyzed using the diachronic approach. Diachronic approach tayo. So we are trying to delve on its contextual form. We delve on its contextual form. Next one, okay. What or which specific function of art does this artwork serve? A particular sculpture or statue. Social, physical, personal, or utilitarian. That is social under historical. Or cultural. Okay, good. Next, diachronic maybe relating to or dealing with phenomena of culture as they occur or change over a period of time. Is that true, partially true, false, or partially false? Perfect. It's true. Now, humanities do not all the time help us understand others through their language, histories, or culture, though they foster social justice and equality. So, is this true, partially true, false, or partially false? It's false. Humanities do not actually, it helps us understand. Now, it records our existence as humans. Next, by showing how others have lived and thought about life, the humanities help us decide what is important in our lives and what we can do to make them better. True, false, partially false. Perfect. That is true. Next, to perform religious service or acknowledgement falls under the personal function of art. True, false, or partially false. Correct. It's false. Religious service, not a personal function, but it's a social function under religion. Or, yeah, under religion. Next, religious. Last, I think, art interprets, expresses, and engages life as well as culture, but only for the artist. Is that true, false, or partially false? Mm-hmm. Correct. It's false. So that ends our rationalization of a particular quiz from quiz 1, quiz 2, and quiz 3. Thank you so much, everybody, and God bless you all, and God bless us all. Thank you. Bye, everyone.